Good evening. My name is Brooks Jackson, and I serve as the University of Iowa Vice President for Medical Affairs and Dean of the Carver College of Medicine, the Roy J. and Lucille A. Carver College of Medicine. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you tonight as we celebrate the Carver College of Medicine class of 2018. This evening's graduates will receive degrees from 3 distinct Carver College of Medicine programs: the Master in Medical Education degree, the Doctor of Medicine degree, the combined Doctor of Medicine and Master of Public Health degrees. To all of tonight's graduates, and on behalf of the Carver College of Medicine, we join your families and friends in expressing our pride and excitement for your commitment, your growth, and your academic achievements. This event is truly a defining moment on the path to your medical careers. At this time, I would like to introduce my colleagues who are part of tonight's commencement ceremony. Beginning at your far right is Dr. Christopher Cooper, Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education and Professor and Vice Chairman in the Department of Urology. Dr. Pamela Imperiale-Hagerman, Clinical Professor in the Stead Family Department of Pediatrics. We look forward to Dr. Imperiale-Hagerman's remarks as tonight's commencement speaker. Dr. Christy Ferguson, Director of the Master in Medical Education Program and Professor in the Department of Internal Medicine. Dr. Tanya Uden-Holman, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in the UI College of Public Health. Now, beginning at your far left, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Mike Romano of Council Bluffs, Iowa, a board-certified family physician who on May 1st was installed as the 169th President of the Iowa Medical Society, the statewide professional association for Iowa's physicians. Mr. Larry McKibben of Marshalltown, Iowa, who serves on the Board of Regents, State of Iowa. Regent McKibben, who earned his Juris Doctor degree from the UI College of Law in 1972, has been a member of the board since 2013, serving diligently to help govern Iowa's 5 public educational institutions. And finally, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Patricia Winokur, Executive Dean of the Carver College of Medicine and Professor in the Department of Internal Medicine. Dr. Winokur is a key member of the UI Health Care Leadership Team and is instrumental in our efforts to fulfill the tripartite mission of education, research, and patient care. A sincere thank you to each of these distinguished colleagues who have joined me on the stage this evening. And now it is my turn and honor to turn the podium over to Dr. Christopher Cooper.
Good evening. Thank you, Peter. I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're thinking Peter Dinson's going to continue to interrupt me throughout this. No, I know what you're thinking. A lot of you are thinking, how long is this going to take? Well, it says here I'm supposed to give introductory remarks. Introductory remarks suggests it should be brief. So I could say, welcome to commencement for the Carver College of Medicine class of 2018. And if I did that, I'd expect you to wildly applaud. Too late. I could say other things. I could say, these graduates are great, and they've done great things. Yes. And they will do great things. And I wish them the best of luck. And that could be the end of my opening remarks. And all of that is true, except they aren't graduates yet. That little fact is important for 2 reasons. First, I've got my back turned to them, so they need a little reminder you haven't graduated yet. Watch your step. Second, I'm not quite done with them yet. You see, it turns out that very few of these students, perhaps none of you, rotated through my advanced 4-week elective in pediatric urology. So I really can't let them graduate without making sure they have some exposure to pediatric urology. Now, can I? We'll come back to that in a minute. This truly is a great class, full of remarkable individuals and remarkable accomplishments. They are the first class that will graduate going through our new curriculum. That has been stressful for them, at least for the first 2.5 years, as they didn't have a class above them to tell them that it would all work out and they'd be okay, and before they knew it, they'd be sitting on a stage in a surreal state of mind, surrounded by beautiful Hancher Auditorium and people that loved them as they graduated from medical school. I mean, I tried to tell them that was the case, but they're a smart class, like their faculty here, and they know over 80% of what comes out of an administrator's mouth is either wrong, a lie, or both. The other 20%'s made up of drool and a few other things. So no class, I want to say this carefully, no class has been so closely scrutinized, probed, questioned, and reminded that they were the first to go through the now no longer new curriculum. That statement was actually a quote from Dean Peter Denson on Match Day in 1999. But it fits perfectly for this class, and it is so much more eloquent than anything I could have come up with. So, like a truly accomplished administrator, I just figured I'd take it, use it, and claim credit. Peter Denson probably did the same thing. Peter, would you stand up for a minute? When did you start at Iowa? 1983. If you do the math, Peter's been here for a lot of years. The reason I'm publicly picking on Peter tonight is tonight's a bit of a graduation for Peter as well. Peter has served as the executive dean for the college. Peter served in my role for many years. He's been a dedicated educator. He's been dedicated to the students. He's currently a community leader. And many don't know, but October 1st is going to be his last day. So with that, I wanted to publicly acknowledge you for all you've done. Thank you, Peter. I also didn't want to spring for a going away party. So I said this class has done great things, and you, being a critical audience, perhaps even a skeptical audience, want some proof to back up that statement. I could spend just 1 minute summarizing each student and would be here for an additional 3 hours, plus some intermission time for bathroom breaks, but I'm guessing you're not that skeptical and you don't want that much proof. So let me take just a couple of minutes to brag about a few of their accomplishments. This class had a 100% pass rate on step 1 of their USMLE board examinations and set a new collegiate high average. This class had a 100% pass rate on step 2 of their board examinations and set another new collegiate high average. No class can surpass that 100% pass rate, which is why they will hate you forever. So, this class also set a record for the highest number and percentage of students graduating on one of the distinction tracks. These are completely voluntary tracks that require additional work and effort outside of the curriculum. So what that means is this class has the highest percentage of overachievers in collegiate history. As a double bonus, by doing that, it's obvious you set another record. It was a record low on your wellness passport. So. This class, in just 4 years, went through 3 deans of the College of Medicine. There are even some people who say it wasn't your fault. And, in their usual rebellious fashion, they did it opposite of our curricular change. They went through the new dean first, the old dean second, and now they're on the revised dean. Dean Jackson, knowing what an overachieving and perfectionist group this is, I'm sure it bothers the daylights out of them that they didn't get through 4 deans in 4 years. If I were you, I'd be watching for any loose stage rigging up there. Okay, you're a smart class, and a class that's been very involved in extracurricular activities as well as outreach to the college and to the community and the world. But there are many lessons you can still learn. I believe you can learn from every patient encounter, some more than others, and some of these encounters will permanently change you. Some may even haunt you. Along that line, it's time for your pediatric urology lesson. This comes in the form of a story. You've got time for a story? Oh, good, good. I don't want to tell you one you already know. So, hands up if you've ever seen a patient with bedwetting. Way up high so we can all see. Good. Now, keep them up, keep them up. Most bedwetting's primary, meaning that the patient's always had it. So, leave your hands up if you've seen a patient with secondary bedwetting. Okay, not too many hands. You can go ahead and put them down. That's good. I didn't want to tell a story that so many of you would have known about. It was either that or go with a story about how to handle a guy with 3 balls. I'm actually, no, this, you shouldn't laugh at that. It can be a critical situation, and sometimes, you know, if that happens, you need to either put in a new pitcher or just walk him. Come on, it's baseball season. Get your mind out of the gutter. Come on, people. How'd you do that 3 balls, Kelly? It's just fun. Kelly's been with us for many years. We thank you for your service as well. So, 21 years ago this July, I was a new pediatric urology fellow at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Times were a bit different then, and I ran what was considered an indigent clinic. I'd been through medical school already, I'd graduated, I'd been through 6 years of urology residency. A mother from North Philadelphia, which is a really rough area, had taken a bus to come to my clinic with her 9-year-old son. He had developed bedwetting over the last 6 months. Now, having read the books, I knew secondary bedwetting can be brought on by stress. So I asked, has he had any stressful things happen to him? She told me in the last year, his sister had died, his brother had been killed by drug dealers, and those drug dealers were now using listening devices on the apartment they lived in to make sure that they didn't inform the police. That encounter continues to haunt me. A few immediate lessons I learned from that. First, I was no longer in Iowa City. Second, how terrible a problem bedwetting can be when people are faced with the horrors and obstacles like they were, yet bedwetting still rose to the level that they sought help. I never looked at bedwetting, or quite a few things, the same way after that patient visit. It changed me. Other lessons from that single patient encounter. Life is definitely not fair. I've been unbelievably privileged. I mean, yes, I grew up on the mean streets of University Heights, where police harassed us if we went a few miles over the speed limit. on our bikes. In all seriousness, I honestly doubt I would have had the inner strength to make it growing up in North Philadelphia. Do not judge any of your patients, or anyone for that matter. You cannot know their circumstances, neither their environment, nor their genetic predispositions. There, but for the grace of God, or maybe I should say a roll of the dice, go any of us. So just count your blessings, of which you all have many. The strength of that mother and love for her child was inspiring. She demonstrated a willingness to seek help, a will to do whatever she could to help decrease her child's suffering. I initially was struck by how completely different I was from that mother and that child. But over time, with further reflection, I am now more struck by the similarities than the differences. Audience members, let's involve you in this lesson as well. Hands up if you are parents. Stage participants, you too. Okay. How many of you, keep hands up. There's a pattern here. How many of you have taken a child to the doctor for an illness? Okay. How many would have gladly taken on your child's illness and suffering so they wouldn't have any? Class, look at them. These are your future patients. As humans from any and all walks of life, we have so many more similarities than differences. You already put your hands down. All right. All right, class. In this bedwetting story, in this parable, if you will, and following graduation tonight, you're not the child anymore. You're the mother to all of them, to all of your patients. That's your charge. That's your responsibility, your duty, your calling, your mission. Despite the obstacles you'll face, the injustices you'll see, you have to be strong and care for them and take care of them. There will be times you need to ask for help yourself. Remember, you are never alone. One little story about a bedwetter from Philadelphia, and it teaches us so much. On any given day, you will see dozens and dozens of people, and you will have the chance to learn from them. If you start to listen to your patients and ask the right questions, you will become much wiser in matters that count every bit as much as the lessons you've learned in medical school, if not more. One little patient encounter, one story teaches so much. I love stories, and I think it's really important for your career satisfaction, as well as maintaining the roots and identity of our medical profession, that you cultivate a culture of sharing such stories with your colleagues and your students. With the increasing emphasis on RVU and clinical productivity in medicine, I've started to see that culture of story sharing erode. That's another story for another time. I'll leave it as a word to the wise. Make time to share stories. And audience, learning such lessons from encounters with others doesn't have to be limited to physicians. You all are both the child and the mother and the physician in this parable. In fact, we all are. All right, class, time for your final pediatric urology exam question. We'll just do it. You don't have to write it down. With my patients and colleagues, I should A, interact, B, care, C, listen, D, learn, E, share, F, all of the above. The answer to that question is clearly all of the above. Interact, care, listen, learn, and share. You have been a truly incredible class, and it's been my privilege to serve you to the best of my abilities, which I recognize fell short of your expectations at times. I wish for each of you a fulfilling and rewarding career as you serve in your role as medical doctors. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Matthew Traxler, a fourth-year medical student from Le Center, Minnesota. Le Center, it's French. 4 years of high school French, and I finally got to use it. So, Matt has excelled as a Carver College of Medicine student, earning several prestigious scholarships and awards, including the Distinguished Student Service Award and membership into Alpha Omega Alpha Honor Medical Society. Matt has also been an active participant in a number of student activities and organizations, including serving this year as the Carver College of Medicine Student Government President. He has the honor of introducing tonight's commencement speaker. Please welcome Matthew Traxler.
Sorry, everybody. All right. Thank you, and I am proud to introduce this year's commencement speaker, Dr. Pamela Imperiale-Hagerman. Dr. Imperiale-Hagerman is a clinical professor and has served as medical director in the Division of Medical Genetics in the Stead Family Department of Pediatrics. She is the clinical director for the division's Neurofibromatosis Clinic and Connective Tissues Disorder Clinic. She is also the Sahai Family Professor of Medical Education. As a pediatrician, Dr. Imperiale-Hagerman knows firsthand that medical genetics affect not just patients, but entire families. She has the unique ability to discuss and treat the complexities of medical genetics while never losing sight of the everyday, real-world impact a genetic condition can have on a child, their parents, and their family. Dr. Imperiale-Hagerman serves as course director for Medicine and Society, one of 3 major educational strands in our Carver College of Medicine curriculum. Through Medicine and Society, we learned about disease prevention, public health, social determinants of health and disease, and the influence and impact of community and culture in the context of both medical practice and patients' well-being. In this context, as a teacher and a mentor, and in conjunction with her clinical duties, Dr. Imperiale-Hagerman embraces the idea that human contact and empathy, along with scientific understanding and clinical proficiency, are the keys to becoming a caring physician and trusted resource. A University of Iowa faculty member since 2009, Dr. Imperiale-Hagerman earned her medical degree at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. She completed a residency in pediatrics and a fellowship in medical genetics, both at the University of Texas Medical School in Houston. A veteran of the U.S. Navy, she was stationed at Camp Pendleton and Naval Medical Center Portsmouth as a lieutenant commander. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Pamela Imperiale-Hagerman.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening to our graduates and their families and friends. Before we get started, so all the guests understand the title of my speech, the graduates have had to write a fair number of reflections over the years, particularly in the Medicine and Society course. You've heard Dr. Cooper reference the wellness passport, of which they are very fond. They had to complete one every 6 weeks, and it included entries on physical wellness, their social activities, and humanities. And again, I'm sure they have all enjoyed that. And you enjoy looking forward to continuing to do that, right? They're barely nodding. Okay. In all of your graduation celebrations, please be sure to ask them about their reflections. They love them a lot. All right, so now we turn to our graduates, and everyone should have received an email from Matt Edwards today. There will be one final wellness passport component. There will be a speed reflection before you graduate. Marcia should have given you some extra paper when you were lining up. If you didn't get that, Matt now has the extra pens and paper up here. When you are done, you can hand them to Dr. Dowden, Dr. Epping, or I, and we will read them and grade them before you receive your hood. Okay? The MSTP students who are here with us tonight did not go through this Medicine and Society course, so you can either choose to do a new reflection, or you can hand in the answer to how many ATPs are in the Krebs cycle, and please hand that to Dr. Rubenstein. He did send me an email and say it was a trick question, so be careful. And Dr. Cooper, if you'd like to join in too, you can turn that in to Dr. Rubenstein. He's still waiting for his answer from prior years. Did you? Okay. All right, so in fairness to all the graduates, I will complete my final wellness passport. I will also include a number of learning issues. So for physical wellness, for the past 6 weeks, I have been running, otherwise known as walking and running, with my daughters, Elena and Tisa. We have participated in the Doc Dash. My daughter Elena continues to put us all to shame in that. For my social activities, I've been running with my daughters, and I've also spent quality time with my husband. Once a week, I make sure to leave work on time, and then we enjoy a beverage at one of our fine local establishments. For my humanities reflection, I'm going to choose to reflect on a photo. It's very sad we do not have PowerPoints right now, or else you all could see my photo. It's very sad. It's right here. Okay. All right, so the photo is of me and an 8-year-old boy in a makeshift clinic in Jamaica in 2015. The photo is a typical fun pediatric scene with smiles and laughter, and it caught me off guard. I've seen many photos of myself, but very few of me doctoring. The photographers generally stay in the public places, and this was a rare glimpse inside the patient-physician space. So how did I get here in this photo? I am now an M26, and it has been 22 years since I sat where you are. And those who know me know I have to tell a story, or two, or three, to be able to answer this question. So this past spring, I was at a national meeting where we had a party to celebrate my mentor, Dr. Hope Northrup, who gave one of the memorial lectures. At that party, I had a chance to meet some of the fellows who had come after me that I had not met. And as we were chatting, Hope joins our table and remarks, you know, Pam, who was the one who diagnosed Danny. And then she turns to me and says, and you know, we can't convince him to not play football. And then all the eyes turn to me, and I get to tell Danny's story and mine. Danny was an infant that was admitted to our hospital. He had presented to our emergency room with the complaint of bloody noses. His parents had been around the town for several months with this same complaint, always told, there's nothing wrong, you're bulb suctioning his nose too hard, go home. At our emergency room, our residents got some labs, and they were a little off, but they weren't diagnostics. But they said, you know, this has been going on too long, so let's just put him in the hospital and do a workup. And let's get a genetics consult. And I said, get some metabolic studies, call hematology, call infectious disease. Hemophilia and hepatitis are far more common than any of my metabolic conditions. The day he was discharged, his labs came back, and Danny has one of my conditions. He has tyrosinemia type 1. Learning issue number 1, don't ever say it isn't one of your conditions. At the time, my attending, Hope, was out of town at a meeting. It was towards the end of my fellowship, so I was left to be the pretending. The clinic appointment was staffed by an attending from another service. He arrives in clinic and announces that he's read the appropriate chapter in the metabolic basis of inherited disease. He looks at me and says, apparently there's an experimental medicine for this condition. I have the experimental medicine, check. And there's a special diet. I have the dietitian and our metabolic nurse there with me, double check. Learning issue number 2, always have a good team, and that is followed closely by learning issue number 3. That which you learn while pretending, you will remember for a lifetime. We went in to see Danny and his father and his uncle. His father was 16 and worked part-time after school, and his mother was 17 and worked full-time. She could not get the day off from work to attend her son's appointment. We explained autosomal recessive inheritance, genes, metabolic pathways. The bloody noses were because his liver was being poisoned, and how the medication and special diet would stop the poison from being produced and allow the liver to heal. There would be lots of surveillance labs, and that this is not something he will get over, but we will treat him for his entire life. Danny's father took it all in, and we were struck by his caring attention to detail. He washed his hands before he made his son's new formula. The medication and the diet worked, his liver recovered, and the nosebleed stopped. And despite all the obstacles, his young parents made sure that he made all of his appointments. Learning issue number 4, don't underestimate young parents. Danny is now a healthy 17-year-old playing football, which we cannot convince him to not do. Even though his liver is healed, we would like him to avoid any other liver damage. And then there's the whole concussion thing. Danny has 2 healthy brothers, one of whom also has tyrosinemia that was diagnosed and treated at birth. Which then leads me to the second patient I saw the week of being pretending. Sam was an 8-year-old with a different metabolic condition. He had OTC deficiency. He had severe neurocognitive impairments due to his first hyperammonemic crisis as an infant. His parents had new insurance that year, and his pediatrician, who had cared for him since his first diagnosis, was not in their insurance plan. Reluctantly, the parents chose a different doctor, who did not recognize that vomiting in a child with OTC deficiency is a medical emergency. Learning issue number 5. Take time to read about your patients. I met Sam for the first time in the ER after 3 days of vomiting and irritability when his ammonia was over 600. For reference, normal is less than 40. I again had our metabolic nurse and dietitian with me, and the endocrine attending, and his fellow. And remember that Hope was out of town and I was pretending. There is a medicine that we use to bring down the ammonia, and the protocol says if the priming infusion does not decrease the ammonia significantly, repeat the priming dose. We stood in a circle and looked at each other and said, does anyone know what significant means? We had no idea. I said half, and everyone went, good, half. And good for us and for Sam that the ammonia did indeed decrease by more than half and normalized. Sam's original pediatrician took him back into his practice. He said he would see him for no charge. Learning issue number 6. The physician-patient bond is more important and stronger than money. So after sharing these stories, Hope says that I've always been decisive. Who knew? It is odd to see yourself through someone else's eyes. And back to the photo of me and the 8-year-old boy in the makeshift clinic in Jamaica. I have seen photos of me in uniform, action shots of me typing notes at the computer, lecturing, lots of lecturing, but no photos of me working, of me doctoring. The photo is a glimpse inside my physician-patient space and a chance to reflect and to remember that despite surgery, medications, and genetic testing, at the end of the day, what your patients need and what we need is the quiet place within our physician-patient bond where we bear witness and walk with our patients in their lives and their struggles. This is a sacred gift and why we are here. Our education and specific skills are what allow us in the room, and the ability to offer our surgeries, our medications, and our genetic testing. Our humanity is what allows us to heal. Take your time. You and your patients are more than an RVU. We owe our patients our time. I have come to the conclusion that what we require is slow medicine. Unless, of course, you're working in the ER, please continue to do fast medicine. Sam's pediatrician could not cure him, but continued to care for him so that he and his parents could have the best quality of life possible. Danny is playing football today because we took our time and we cared for his family, like we would want someone to care for our family. And we still don't want him playing football. And remember that we are never alone, There is a wide invisible net that binds us all together, and that was easily seen sitting at Hope's celebratory dinner, reminiscing about Danny, over his and our 17 years of care. I've had the opportunity to watch you grow from M1s to M4s on the cusp of being physicians. The days are long, but the years are short. I know that each one of you will do great things, most of which will be hidden from view. Know that I will celebrate each achievement with you in spirit, and I am proud and honored to have been your teacher. And make sure that you keep writing reflections. Someday you will need them when you are honored with giving the commencement address. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Trepane, for that wonderful speech and for being there for us over the last 4 years. Since first semester, when you first taught us genetics, all the way up to now, you've always been there for us as a teacher, a mentor, and an advocate. Whether it be as a lecturer or coming up on stage with us for frolics, you have been with us for all 4 years of this new curriculum. So as a thank you, we wanted to get you this gift from both us and the school as a thank you for everything you've done for us.
The Master's in Medical Education student receiving her degree tonight brings the total number of MME graduates to 41 since the program began 11 years ago. They represent 14 different departments and programs. Dr. Amy Dowden joins her esteemed colleagues, Dr. Pam Trepane and Dr. Eric Epping, who's out there, as the third Medicine and Society course director to receive the MME degree. Together, they created the Medicine and Society strand from the ground up, allowing them to directly apply the knowledge and skills they gained in the MME program. As the medical students know, and you've already heard a little bit tonight, reflection is a skill that is practiced throughout the Mass strand. That is also the case in the MME program, so there's a little payback involved here. Lifelong learning through reflection is essential for physicians in clinical practice, as well as the educators who teach them. Congratulations to all of tonight's graduates.
Will the candidate for the Master in Medical Education please stand? Dean Jackson, this candidate, having completed all of the requirements for the degree of Master in Medical Education, is recommended to you by the faculty of the Carver College of Medicine for the conferring of this degree.
On the recommendation of the faculty of the Carver College of Medicine and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on you the Master in Medical Education degree as qualified and designated. Will the candidate please come forward to receive their diploma?
Dr. Amy Dowden.
Will the candidates for the combined degrees Doctor of Medicine and Master of Public Health please stand? Dean Jackson, these candidates, having completed all of the requirements for the combined degrees Doctor of Medicine and Master of Public Health, are recommended to you by the faculty of the Graduate College for the conferring of these degrees.
On the recommendation of the faculty of the Graduate College and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree of Master of Public Health as qualified and designated.
Graduates, will you please be seated? Congratulations.
Will the candidates for the Doctor of Medicine degree please stand? Dean Jackson, these candidates, having completed all of the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Medicine, are recommended to you by the faculty of the Carver College of Medicine for the conferring of this degree.
On the recommendation of the faculty of the Carver College of Medicine and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree of Doctor of Medicine as qualified and designated.
Will the Doctor of Medicine graduates please be seated?
Dean Jackson, on behalf of the faculty and administration of the Carver College of Medicine, I present to you these graduates who have just been awarded the degree Doctor of Medicine. They will now be presented with their doctoral hoods and diplomas. The shell of the hood matches the black material of the gown and is lined with the old gold color of the University of Iowa. The velvet border of the hood is indicative of medicine, which is traditionally represented by the color green. Dr. Turpain will join me in the presentation of the hoods. Graduates, will you please come forward to receive your hoods and diplomas? Dr. Tatiana Correa. Dr. Jihong Song. Dr. Dana Vanderhyde. Dr. Kristin Watson. Dr. Nicholas Andreessen. Dr. Nicholas Arpey. Dr. Rachel Atherton. Dr. Nikhil Batra. Congratulations. Dr. Hemali Batra-Sharma. Dr. Cory Baughman. Dr. Emily Bavers. Dr. Brandon Bolt. Dr. Nicholas Borman. Dr. Kristen Bremer. Dr. Erin Briggy. Dr. Brianna Brun. Dr. Austin Bush. Dr. Courtney Carlson. Dr. Justine Cheng. Dr. Jennifer Churko. Dr. James Chunramani. Dr. Allie Cohen. Dr. Daniel Cook. Dr. Ethan Craig. Dr. Greta Dahlberg. Dr. Caitlin Davis. Dr. Ipar Demir. Dr. Megan Dibburn. Dr. Martin Dittmer. Dr. Taisha Doe. Dr. Bradley Egbers. Dr. Dean Elhag. Dr. Eric Elliott. Dr. Jacqueline Engelbart. Dr. Daniel Evans. Dr. Erin Evans. Dr. Alick Feng. Dr. Anna Frischman. Dr. Mark Fromelt. Dr. Jenna Fussell. Dr. William Gansky. Dr. Jeffrey Girardin. Dr. Andrew Goetz. Dr. Matthew Gossi. Dr. Julie Gudenkoff. Dr. Amy Gamaris Young. Dr. Chloe Gumpert. Dr. James Halsey. Dr. Carl Hamouche. Dr. Thomas Harris. Dr. Kelsey Hart. Dr. John Hartnett. Dr. Ike Hasley. Dr. Marcus Haustein. Dr. Grant Henning. Dr. Elise Hill. Dr. Evan Holloran. Dr. Zoe Hu. Dr. Pamela Imperiale-Hagerman. Dr. Alexandra Isaacson. Dr. Francis Jarasek. Dr. Braden Jensen. Dr. Chase Johnson. Dr. Emma Killeran. Dr. Allison Kim. Dr. Marie Kim. Dr. Tae Kim. Dr. Lauren Kanak. Dr. Madeline Knott. Dr. Susanna Cook. Dr. James Kohler. Dr. Rebecca Frewer. Dr. Adam Fruse. Dr. Erin Lacey. Dr. Nyle Larson. Dr. Scott Lorenzo. Dr. Catherine Linkenmeyer. Dr. Jenna Lund. Dr. Norbek Mambet Sarayev. Dr. Anna Mark. Dr. Rachel Marlowe. Dr. Casey McCleary. Dr. Tyler McDermott. Dr. William McDowell. Dr. Devin McKissick. Dr. Keenan McLaughlin. Dr. James McMenamin. Dr. Maria McNerlin. Dr. Thomas Merrick. Dr. Jacob Melendrez. Dr. Adam Miller. Dr. Aubrey Miller. Dr. Nathan Miller. Dr. Eric Monson. Dr. Grace Murray. Dr. Joseph Nellis. Dr. Nora Wynn. Dr. Mitchell O'Neill. Dr. Andrew Papp. Dr. Meredith Parsons. Dr. Michelle Pingchung. Dr. Nicole Peyton. Dr. Allison Pierrick. Dr. Kate Pitts. Dr. Garrick Priebe. Dr. Zachary Rasmussen. Dr. Olivia Rice. Dr. Grant Reesberg. Dr. Kevin John Rivera. Dr. Marissa Robinson. Dr. Miguel Rodriguez-Homs. Dr. Victoria Reeder. Dr. Brett Rosser. Dr. Matthew Rudolph. Dr. Hannah Salk. Dr. Carolyn Sanderson. Dr. Joshua Schoenfeld. Dr. Sebastian Sciegienka. Dr. Stephanie Segura. Dr. Brenton Sherwood. Dr. Matthew Sloan. Dr. Christina Sloan Hagen. Dr. Catherine Songer. Dr. Rithru Shrikantha. Dr. Austin Stark. Dr. Robert Strother. Dr. Sara Stucker. Dr. Madeline Stump. Dr. Andrea Sturdevant. Dr. Shreya Subramani. Dr. Suba Subramanian. Dr. Roger Sir. Dr. Erica Tank. Dr. Ryan Tegmeyer. Dr. Mackenzie Thayer. Dr. Amy Tierney. Dr. Matthew Traxler. Dr. Trey Van Manen. Dr. Adam Verhoof. Dr. Noel Waldschmidt. Dr. Corbin Weaver. Dr. Brett Wee. Dr. Megan Weems. Dr. Lisa Weir-Maves. Dr. Elizabeth Windle. Dr. Sarah Weinman. Dr. Perry Wu. Dr. Brandon Wubben. Dr. Katie Wyant Verhoof. Dr. Shishi Yang. Dr. Michael Zhang. Dr. Grant Zomerman.
I would now like to address the doctors of medicine as you have come upon a decisive moment in your development as a physician. You are about to recite the physician's oath, which is based on the oath of Hippocrates. While you took a very similar oath at the Carver College of Medicine white coat ceremony a few years ago at the start of your medical education, and as you have honored that promise, the next few moments will set you apart from your medical school career. This oath is a symbol of your commitment to the healing arts and is an acknowledgement of your solemn duty to perform to the very best of your ability. I ask you to think very seriously about what the oath means, especially the importance it signifies to those you will serve in your role as a healthcare provider. As you commit to each paragraph, concentrate on the meaning of your vow and how you must see it through. Thus, acknowledging the magnitude of this ceremony, I now ask the Doctor of Medicine graduates to please rise and turn to page 10 of your program. I'd also like to invite Erin Lacey, our student recipient of the 2018 Leonard Tao Humanism in Medicine Award, to come forward to lead the graduates in reciting the physician's oath.
You guys look really good in green. It is my privilege to ask you guys as doctors to please join me in saying the oath. I do solemnly swear by which I hold most sacred, that as I enter the profession of medicine, my primary responsibility
Please be seated. Class of 2018, congratulations. Our state and nation are fortunate to receive such bright, talented, and compassionate physicians, researchers, educators, and healthcare providers. I would also like to take this moment to acknowledge an important cohort. Commencements are also a time for us to express gratitude and appreciation to the parents, spouses, family members, and friends of tonight's graduates. You have helped make this journey possible with your love, your support, and encouragement. We recognize that this is also a celebration for you as well. Also, I would like to recognize and extend my appreciation to our outstanding faculty members, many of whom are here tonight to celebrate our new graduates. Thank you for your dedication and support as you have helped guide, nurture, and mentor this outstanding class of graduates. Following this ceremony, my colleagues and I will be in the lobby where we will look forward to congratulating you personally. I wish each of you the very best as you embark on your future endeavors. To formally conclude, I ask the graduates to please stand, and I ask the audience to join me in concluding these proceedings by saluting you with a round of applause. Big day, huh? Okay, I guess you're right.